Hey, what's up? Welcome to my channel. Thanks for tuning in. My name is Dwyan. Today, I'm going to be looking at the African American versus African debate that's been happening online. So I gathered up some of the more popular clips, about 6 or 7 of them, and I'm going to give my commentary and let you know what I think about this debate. So let's get started. We got over here, let's see.
Could you speak on the differences you've seen in African men versus African American men? Because I haven't seen that side of the topic ever being thrown to you. It's usually like for the women, but at the same time, it's like there's also a big difference in how African men and African American men are.
African men are a lot less aggressive,
And I have some pushback on that, but I'll let you keep talking.
Well, let me say in the 4 countries that
Let
I've
him
been
explain.
to, they're a lot less aggressive and they are a lot less jealous when it comes to, like, they don't have such a scarcity mindset over women. And they're a lot more friendlier to, well, this goes into being aggressive. They're a lot more friendlier to each other.
Okay.
So I've always been shocked every time I go somewhere and I get called brother, this and that. And people say I'm American, but I'm like, shit, you know, back
You're met
home,
with open arms, and you're almost like taken aback because in America, it's like, what do you want from me?
yeah.
So that's interesting, because I can sort of relate to that because I've been to Africa, I've lived in Africa and all that. So that's true. I do tend to find that people, especially strangers, people tend to be more, they tend to be nicer, friendlier, as he says. So I can definitely attest to that. Not entirely sure what he meant by less aggressive, but he probably just meant more friendly and more open, less, the wall isn't there, and actually this leads to a second statement that he made, which probably explains that a little bit more. Let's check this one
In
out.
the United States, most of us don't like each other in crowd. We don't like each other in general. And people can say what they want. They know what I'm saying is true.
Okay.
Black people don't like each other like that in the United States.
Really?
Yeah, no. We're actually taught to not like Africans. Africans are taught to not like us, from what I've heard. Somebody told me yesterday that the way how they perceive Black Americans is in the best light. But I will tell you, y'all, they don't show y'all in the best light. They really don't. So
That's true.
they don't want us to like y'all, and they definitely turn us against each other in the United States.
Definitely. And I think that's true, I noticed that the girl was like, no, we're not taught to hate you guys. But, this is very general, you know what I mean? So, but I think that there is some truth. I mean, he's speaking his truth, and that's an interesting perspective. And I can agree with that. I think it's definitely friendlier between, Black men over there and even, women to a certain degree. It's a little bit more friendlier, but again, that's a cultural thing. Let's check out this.
I'm an American. I was born on American soil, but I did go back to the motherland, and I love it, and made millions going back to the motherland. But I was born in America when the Europeans came to the Native Americans. Well, they like to call them Native Americans, but the Indians' land. We don't call them European Americans. So I don't want to be called an African American. I'm an American. You know what I'm saying? You can call me a Black American, but I'm an American. When I competed in the Olympics, they didn't say fighting an African American. They said
Good point.
That American that's fighting out of the red corner or out the blue corner. I love America.
Yeah, and I think like a lot of Black Americans feel about, and the term African American, a lot of Black Americans don't really like it for the reasons that he just gave, and I think those are sound reasons. I mean, and again, I'm just accepting, I'm just looking at how people, different ways people are thinking about this, and I fully understand that, and I fully agree with him, and that's a very good example. In the Olympics, they don't say, "Oh, there's an African American," they just say American. So why do we have to hold on to the Africa? Why does it have to be African American? Because you don't say European American. So I agree with Floyd on that one. That makes a lot of sense, and that's why, if you've noticed on my channel, I usually just say Black Americans. I don't say African Americans. And later on, I'm going to go, not in this particular video, but later on, I'm going to go a little bit deeper into that to show you that it's better just to say Black Americans, in my opinion, rather than African Americans.
I've been to Africa and they hated me. They despised me. They said, "Look at this black American motherfucker." They said these are their actual words. They like it was me and some other white individuals. It was 18 people. We got stopped. I was 17 years old. They pulled me out of the van, put an AK-47 on me, and put a 45 on me, and said, "Look at this black American motherfucker."
Shit.
They took our passports.
Yeah, I mean, again, people have different experiences. Africa's a big continent, lots of different countries. It varies from country to country, so, you got to bear that in mind. But I just wanted to add him because that's an interesting experience. I mean, damn, not many people though going to Africa is going to have that experience, Again, it depends where you go in Africa, but you're not going to have people pulling guns on you. I've never really experienced that when I've been over there, but that's an interesting perspective,
Explain to me how immigrants can come here, don't speak the language, figure it out, go to college, get an education. Why are black Africans, right, from Africa, doing way better than African Americans?
The experience of an African immigrant in the United States is way different than the experience of an African American. They're two totally. If you're an African immigrant, you might as well be white or European.
What?
Yes.
What are you talking about?
Just what part I didn't understand. If you're an African immigrant coming to the United States, your outcomes in life, the places that you live, the education you have, you're more on par with an upper class white person than you are with a person who's a descendant of
the
slave.
biggest difference is the mindset. It's not the circumstances,
it's not the
not the
mindset.
environment.
It's the families that you come from. Somebody that comes from a family that's driven enough to get their children or themselves to move to the United States from Africa, this is a highly driven family. This is a lot different than somebody whose great-grandparents weren't allowed to buy a house in the city because they were redlined out by a bank in the United States.
Wow, interesting. And the thing is, it took a white American to explain that, because white Americans, particularly not white Americans who just came into the country a few years ago, but I'm talking to ones who've been here, they're American, like for generations, they know what black people have gone through in this country. And here he is saying it, he's like, yo, it's very different from immigrants coming here, because Myron from Fresh and Fit, I believe that was, he asked that question about, I don't get it. Immigrants come here, they do well, they build their lives, why can't black Americans do it, And there is a difference, and in this channel, I'm going to explain more so that people understand that there's a difference. But here it is, a white American had to tell this brother that. A white American had to tell him that, hey, wait a minute, hold on. It's not the same, buddy. It's not about a mindset. It is about a historical legacy, if you will. It's very different. And it's true. A lot of the African immigrants who come here, of course, there's some who are coming here either through, trying to get asylum or whatever the case may be. But a lot of Africans who come here, they have some sort of support, like they're not just coming over here, you know what I mean? And it's usually the Africans who are more well-to-do who come over here, not in every case, but in most cases. So that's an important point. They have the support system, they have the family, the structure. You're coming here with a mission, you have a goal, you're willing to do things, it's a whole different mentality when you're coming here, so I thought that was interesting.
It was ethnic group, nationality, empire. And I always try and talk about it. In America, because of the white supremacy issue, race becomes the primary identifier amongst black people. Whereas in Africa, my name, in other words, my culture or my ethnicity is my primary identifier. In other words, on the continent of just black people, you have to find another way of differentiating.
Absolutely.
Let's say I'm in Nigeria. The first thing I say, what's your name? My name is Kunle. Oh, my name is Honora. I know that Kunle is a Yoruba man and I'm Igbo. So before we even go further, we know that there's a difference between us. So that's the first primary identifier. Let's say me and Kunle find ourselves in Kenya. Hey, what's your name? My name is Kunle. My name is Honora. You're Nigerian. I'm Nigerian. So we identify in that respect. Now let's take ourselves to New York City. I see this black. What's your name? Kunle. You're Nigerian. Yes, black becomes the third of identifiers. The first is your ethnicity, second is your nationality, third is your race.
Yeah, that's interesting too, because it is true, because we have to understand that the whole emphasis on black and being black is really a Pan-Africanist thing. You know, it really started with Africans or Black people outside of the continent. You know, on the continent, before the Europeans came into Africa, Africa were not looking at themselves as Black or even African. You know, you were identified, as he said, by your lineage, like your family name, where you came from. You know, like he just explained. You know, just by the name, he could tell which lineage he came from, which nation he came. I don't like the word tribe. Which nation he comes from within the African context, just by the name, you know. So it is a different thing over there, you know. But definitely here in the U.S., it doesn't matter, you know, because also in the U.S., like Black people here, you know, a lot of us don't really know our heritage, and we certainly cannot identify someone just by their name and know exactly what type of Black they are. No, they're Black, period. That's it. What else I got here?
Zambians think about Black Americans. You know, one funny thing, Zambians, I think we look at Black Americans like they are like us. They are like our brothers and sisters. We don't look at them to be strange. If anything, the white man will look them to be strange. Even Indians, you know that Indians are closer to us more than the Muzungu, more than the whites. But the Blacks, everyone except they will just tell by the accent. You know, we have different cultures, but there's a motto which they say in Zambia that we are one Zambia, one nation. So anyone who looks Black to us is our brother.
Yeah, man. You know what I mean? And there's another example, someone in Zambia who, you know, so I think that the way I look at it is that, you know, we cannot expect that there are not going to be differences, you know, even within Africa, within countries in Africa, there are different types of people, you know, some get along, some don't. So how much more now Black people in the diaspora, you know, there's going to be differences, and that should not surprise us. And my whole thing is that should not be a reason why we don't work together. I personally believe that the differences are fine, you know, like the differences are okay. It's nothing to be concerned about. We're not monolithic. Black people are very diverse, just like every other people. So I think that we need to focus more on our similarities, you know, and the similarity between all of us, we're Black. And it's not just Black as a color. Obviously, it's deeper than just skin deep, but it's Black because we have a shared experience. And when we look at ourselves internationally, we have a shared experience. And our Blackness really is what unites us internationally. And that should be what we keep, you know, and hold on to and work together. We can have our differences, it's fine, you know. My thinking is this, and I'm going to end with this. My thinking is this. Black people are not monolithic. Black people all around the world are different. Everybody's different. Even within countries are different. Here in the United States, there's a difference between Blacks from in the South, from the West, from the Northeast. There's different. You can hear it in the accent. The culture is different. But that should not be something that gets in the way of us looking together as one and working, more importantly, together as one, because ultimately we have a shared history and a past, and that makes us unique. And we have to focus on the similarities between us and work together, because no one else is gonna do anything for Black people. So that was interesting, very interesting. Let me know what you think in the comments, what your feelings are on this issue, and whether you think that this is an issue that's gonna separate us more, keep us apart, make it more difficult for us to work together. I hope not. I hope we can work together. And that's certainly the goal of this channel, to bring all Black people, no matter what, together, to look at each other and to work together, even though we have differences, even if some of us may even hate each other. We still understand that we have to still work together, whether that's pooling our resources, helping each other out. We've got to do that in order to turn the state of the global Black race around. And with that, thank you very much for watching, and I will see you guys in the next episode. Be good.